say, oh, well, I'm a Christian. No, that's what you are. That's not who you are, though. Because Christianity has an established point. And then you had to take a baptism to say to the rest of the world, I bear witness that I accept this. But no brand new baby is born out the womb as a Christian. You got to accept that. No brand new baby is born as a Muslim. You have to accept that and then bear witness. And then you call it a shahada. Or Hebrew, you had to have a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah. But my DNA made me who I was before I even knew any of the words to say. So I need to know about that because my ancestors operated in the genetics of this, and our doctrine is a genetic doctrine. So therefore, of course, when it comes to certain things, there are things that they are not going to be able to explain about us because it wasn't sent for them. It wasn't sent through them. And I know that can be kind of harsh because you have some people that's going to listen to the fact that the master teacher also taught us, don't believe me, check it out. But if you've also been following for quite a while, then you also know that don't believe me, check it out. But there's going to be a point when we're going to get to a point to where you will not be able to reference anything that they're saying about what I'm saying because they're not who I am. So that kind of takes that up. So hopefully that helps to clear things up going on out there in the, the Twitterverse and all that good stuff, as well, because I mean, we appreciate it. And another thing too is we appreciate diligent students who want to bring references and things of that nature. And we would hope that, that we will be able to reason together. And let's open up all of our books. And yes, that includes actual facts and Pt.3. As our brother has already shown and the math teacher told him, show the letter. You know what I'm saying? Show the letter to show the book that's being worked on. And for some of the other people that got questions on that, is this, for everybody in the audience that's been here, right? Has the master teacher ever had someone else to put their face on a book? To put the book together for him? And then this becomes their book. Do you remember that? Anybody? What about the man of the hour? Go back and read Supreme Mathematics, the man of the hour, look at the beginning of the book. What about Great Balls of Fire? You know what I'm saying? So at that point, he still would put people in a position to transcribe certain things, even then. So the question becomes, is the master being different? Or are we still in continuation? I'll take this last question before I pass the class over. You was over at the mic. Did you have a question? You're good to go. All right? I'm sorry, what? Okay, cool. All right, good to go. So with that, I hope I didn't put anybody to sleep, and I'm going to pass the class over to my good brother, Atum Hutep Imreye Atum Reye. That's that. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. Before you ask that question, I'd like to go over, I found what I was talking about. What we was talking about the krill, right, is on page 118 of Man from Planet Risk. The question is, with all the extraterrestrial visitors to this planet, why didn't the Riskians make this their planet? The answer when I met, Potter Bam, answered it like, when you come from a planet that has 3 suns to a planet that has 1, it wouldn't be conducive to your living standards. Now here's the part where we got to pay attention. We can incarnate in different ways. Y'all understand that, right? So it's not one way to incarnate. One way is to inhabit a body by going in through the oversoul. Many Ethereans who don't want to get caught up in the physical things of this world do this. That's one way, right? The other way is when a being submerges himself into a person and becomes the person. This is when, we talk about the Elijah Muhammad Krill thing, and also as our master teacher. This is why people who have an issue with our master teacher, and I'm gonna tell you one of the biggest issues they have with the master teacher is he changes his doctrine. Because people ask a question about this, and then they ask a question about that. Then what happens is when you're dealing with different beings that incarnate in him, that gives him information, you gotta remember that when these beings submerge themselves into that person, they become this person. This is why the master teacher said, I am Murdoch at one time. Then he said he's Melchizedek. Then he said he's Atumre. You feel me? So he's different beings that incarnate to him, like, oh, I'm a Nubi Ra'akataz, you know what I'm saying? Or Zedi, or El Kut, or El Kida, you know what I mean? So what happened is a lot of people get caught, they have issue with the master teacher to keep taking the doctrine higher and higher, right? When they wanted to say, well, I just love the Hebrew school. Can you just please stay in Rabboni? You know what I mean? Why can't you just be Imam? I don't care about Egypt. I just want you to be Imam Isa. Because people were affected emotionally and mentally and spiritually from different schools that they came into. Some people hold the Ansar Law School very dear. It was amazing things that happened in Ansar School, but we need to move on. You hear me? So this right here, you can go back and read that, and the other ones that I talked about, this explains about how these beings are able to incarnate. And to finish it off, some of the Elohim Anunnaki actually had to clone themselves to live on this planet. You know what I'm saying? So this is another thing. When they actually cloned themselves, they will incarnate into the clone beings that they already had on this planet. Yeah, go ahead. Now, what's your question?
My question was, I was reading the book that was given to me, and
What's the name of the book?
it explained the number 24 quite profoundly.
What is that you talking about? Oh, okay.
Birth of Earth and something about the Matrix.
Yeah.
Now,
What page you on? I mean, what number is it that you're reading from?
I'm not reading from anything. This was something I wrote down in conjunction to it.
Okay, but you know, like the reference, like, you know, it's like
It was in reference to a pyramidic structure,
Okay.
and explaining its 3 to 8. It was just explaining the science of the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know why didn't the Tamahu, why didn't they tear it down? And if they did tear it down, what would happen?
You thought like the power plant?
I'm talking about the pyramids of Giza. They didn't tear these down for some reason.
What would be the purpose of them tearing it down? Huh?
I don't know, but because they tore down everything else, or they blew up stuff.
But they're not going to tear down. It's like, I put it like this. If I got a book, right? And this book right here is the everything you need to know about yourself, right? They're not going to tear down or destroy some book that has the answers to their origins. You hear me? Mm-hmm. So what you got to understand is that these Europeans are still trying to find out their beginnings. But what happened is, if you read a book called Age of Adamite Past, right? It breaks down how these beings were created by other beings. And over time, you read a book called The Mentorship, over time, a lot of these beings forgot their own history of where they came from. This is where the mythology came in, with the Greeks and Zeus and Apollo and all these other mythological stories came from. Because this is how they were put under a spell also. See, we sit here as Wu-nuwaup and say, oh, we're under the spell. But you got to understand that their own people put them under the spell also, and they're overlords, and have them living a fabricated lie. You hear me? Mm-hmm. So they're under this oppression, like, oh, I'm just that. But even when they start getting to their deep studies and what you call their Masonic schools, their Eastern Stars, their Shriners, right? These guys start realizing, oh, we've been lied to. You didn't have me worship Jesus, and the real Jesus has come out of Egypt. And this is why you find people that's in these secret societies, even Illuminati and Skull and Bones, that start tying into the Egyptian doctrine and start using the symbols. Even as witches and warlocks, even when they get to their peak, they say, oh, we got to go back to where? Egypt. So this is one of the reasons why they won't even fathom their mind to destroy the pyramid. Because if they want to destroy the pyramid, they could have done it a long time ago. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was asking, like, is it out of fear?
No, they're not doing it out of fear. They're doing it they're not destroying the pyramid out of admiration. You understand that when they see you, hey, you nigger. But they go to Egypt, hey, they'll see the same dude, right? You might not have a box on. You might have a trench on, right? But you have on this outfit, headpiece. Oh, it's a Greek raw. I worship you. You know, sit there and light a little sage and you know, and do that little thing. I'm going to get you. You know what I'm saying? So they said, oh no, we love Egypt, but we hate niggers. Yeah. Yeah, so that would be that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
but
the book explains.
Let me explain though.
Okay.
The birth of Earth, you know what I'm saying? You gotta show me what you read. When you ask a question from birth,
Right.
I need precise where it pointed, because you might be talking about a pyramid, you could be talking about tetrahedron, you could be talking about something else, or points, or angles, you know what I'm saying? So when you might be, reading the book, and you might ask me a question, and I might answer it different only, but going by what
Okay,
you're going
well,
by.
can I rephrase it then?
Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed that it had some significance to where it was built, how it was built,
Yeah.
and the structure it was built in.
Uh-huh.
And it had some significance and importance to the earth
Yes.
and its importance. Do they know that science behind its importance to the earth? And that's why they choose not to? Or?
Who do? The Caucasians?
Yeah.
No, they don't. They think they do, but they don't. This is why they keeping our master teacher incarcerated, because every time the master teacher writes a letter or have visitation when he's breaking down sciences, they're listening. They got their scientists sitting here. Oh, we didn't know that. Oh, yeah, thank you, York. Oh, yeah, you filled in the blank right there. Oh, we didn't even know that either. Oh, yes. So right now the master is saying is that it's stuff that he got to teach us that he can't say because they're listening. Because they're still using his doctrine to fill in the gaps in their hypothesis, in their theories, you know what I'm saying, in their equations.
They did it. I'm going to tell you
in
what
their
way they
equations,
did it.
right? You hear me?
Can I say something?
That they can't, hold on, that they can't figure out right now. Go ahead.
But they said, I recently saw this movie. I don't know if you know what you
What's
saw
the
this,
movie?
but they referenced something he said.
What's the name of the movie?
It's called K-Pax.
Yeah, yeah, we know about that.
They mentioned something that he said in a lecture that I saw a long time ago. I couldn't believe it.
Hey,
I was like, why would they use this?
You want to hear something crazy? A master teacher been teaching for a long time. Can we agree with that, right? And a lot of people sit there and say, Imam Isa, Rabboni Yahshua, Dr. Malachi York, Chief Thunderbird Black Eagle, you know what I'm saying? Sovereign Grand Commander, the Imperial Muti, potentate, you hear me? Amanu Rakata Atun, we can go all the names, right? And they said, your so-called people that's online, like my brother was talking about earlier, the doubters, people that been, they got lost their way, will say, oh, Doc, just be making up the information and plagiarizing everybody's stuff, right? But I don't see nobody making those Zachariah Stitcher movies or quoting from Zachariah Stitcher books. If you look at a lot of the stuff in Hollywood, a lot of that stuff is coming out the scrolls that our master teacher authored over the years. Reference, like you said before, stuff that he referenced in K-Pax.
But that was the only movie I saw. Is there others?
Oh, it's a lot.
Can you give me a list of these?
Yes. The Matrix, Terminator,
Avatar.
Star Wars. George Lucas ripped a lot of stuff up. Matter of fact, the actual symbol that Luke Skywalker has on his TIE fighter helmet is the Mahdi symbol. Am I lying or what? Huh? The jihad symbol that the Mahdi, Muhammad Ahmed El Mahdi used in Sudan when he fought against Gordon Pasha and them, of the Ansars. Yeah, I can keep going on and on, bruh. It's a lot of movies. A lot of movies. James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas should get Papa Award. Matter of fact, they should share that Oscar with the master teacher. You hear me? And they prophets, because he made them guys rich. And with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to my brother, Subatutsi Hitakawit.
All right, the brother asked me to make sure I added this piece. With what you were talking about, that particular, the book that you had, The Master's Secret, Birth of Earth, and The Matrix. Where did I put it?
Right here.
As far as the structure that he was talking about there, that's not the same thing as talking about the pyramids of Giza at that point. Okay, that's actually talking about the points that it took in order, because like you said, it mentions 24 so many times. So what this is talking about is literally 24 within your 24,000 genomes, your connection to the planet being 24,000, about 24,000 miles in circumference around the diameter of the planet, or what have you, being like 24,000 miles 1 year per mile for the 24,000 year equinox, or what have you. So he's showing how all of this points out, but he's showing how with the 24 points, it also took, it's more like a tetrahedron that was being made to be able to create as far as the planet is concerned. But there is an actual fact that deals with the pyramids of Giza more, called, it's actual fact number 14, called the precession change, 2012 AD. And so, just like I said, continuing on, as the brother was saying, with a little bit of reference for what it's saying, it says, most ancient people were aware of the precession of the equinox and of these 12 divisions of the night sky from the oldest and first people on the planet, Earth, we Egyptians, and passed it on to our children, the Babylonians of Sumeria. We ancient Egyptians were masters of the heavens and its movement in relation to the planet Earth, and built the pyramids to line up with Orion's skies, marking shifts and returns. Make note that astronomically and mathematically speaking, it takes 2,160 Earth years of continuous observation of the night sky to become aware that there is even is this wobble in the planet Earth's axis. From an archaeological point of view, before the other races knew these facts, we Egyptians knew exactly of the precession of the equinox from the very beginning of all people. You see this with the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, built by Pereau or pharaohs, and how they lined up, called the Belt of Asar or Orion's Belt, and how they lined up with the heavens long before the birth of Bible and Quranic religions. Then he's got pictures of the pyramids of Giza from aerial view, from the ground view, the different pyramids of Khafre, Khufu, and Menkaure, and then showing the lineup as far as Orion's Belt, and then with Asar. It says, these facts have the Caucasoid or the Caucasoid archaeological scientists bewildered, who for many years studied these facts. From ancient Egyptian cities in Hutkapata and Hutbapata out of Anu or Heliopolis that were built, and some over time even buried deep under the desert sands, is raising from the dead. So like when you said the one thing about why didn't they destroy them, the only place where they could actually destroy them, if you think about it, is in our minds. Because what they've done is, like, they got a new movie out right now. And within their religion, what they've done is they destroyed our perception of it, because what they said, okay, these Egyptians up under Pharaoh, inside of their Bible, whenever they start talking about it in the book of Exodus, they say Pharaoh. They don't say who, because we've got dynastic listing of who we are. We know, we're the most literal people on the planet. We know dates, we know all this about who we are, but yet when they give it to you inside of your Bible, you just say Pharaoh, and we're supposed to take that. And as religious people, we did, right? But what did they do? They took credit for building the pyramids of Giza by saying that we kept them enslaved, so therefore they are the ones who built it up under this cruel, harsh rule of Pharaoh, right? So they take credit for building it. But then they turn around and take credit also for being Pharaoh when they turn around and make the movies of Exodus. Now you got this white guy who's playing Pharaoh. You see? So now they got a new movie. What's the name of that movie? I ain't even gonna give it a plug, but you know what I'm talking about. The one where you got the new white boys playing like they're Egyptians again. Yeah, whatever they God, white people and God people, or white people trying to be gods again, or white people doing it just like they did it before because they don't do anything different. They do the same thing over and over. That's the name of the movie to me. You understand? So basically, they only destroyed it within our minds insofar as, and they didn't destroy it. Why won't you destroy it? Because you got to try to take credit for it. It's so great that you want to take credit for it. So of course you're not going to destroy it. You're going to keep trying to study it so that you can say, we built it. We know exactly what it's here for. When the reality is, you don't know how in the world we knew to make it on the angles we made it. You don't know how in the world we was able to get that amount of daggone weight into that spot. You don't know how we was able to decide that this part of the land is actually going to be sturdy enough to hold the amount of weight that we're about to bring to it. You have no clue of that because it's not yours. You didn't do it. If you did it, then y'all will remember. So no, they want to take credit for things so that they can pretend to be great. And those are the things that they do. They pretend. They're the greatest pretenders. And they give each other awards for lying. Think about it. You make a movie, you're pretending to be somebody you're not, and you're so good at it until you fooled everybody into thinking that you actually was it. So now I get an award for being the best of liars. So this is that's the reality. He'll cry on cue too. He doesn't have a soul. A soul is an emotional being. This being can bring tears up like that. It's not true emotion. He's acting. You understand? He acts like he cares. Hey, let's do something for black people. NAACP. I care about black people. I've got 2 black friends. You see what I'm saying? So this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with pretenders. And then what happens? See, what happens when you have somebody who knows versus somebody who pretends? You gotta try to take the one who knows out of the equation. Because you have other people up under a spell of thinking that you know something. You see what I'm saying? Like we won't even go into that. This is gonna be the last question before we close it out. Unless you got more than one, but you'll be the last questioner.
That's it.
I tell you. Man, that water look good. I wish I had some right now too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. You good?
I would say
You
this was
good.
with my DNA all on.
Nah, we good.
Okay. I'm not sure. I can't give you no reference where I got this from.
Okay.
I heard some brothers talking about it, and I'm just trying to see if you got any references or if it leads anywhere.
Okay.
Where wearing contacts can change your matrix.
Okay. Great. All right. The master teacher explained, okay, let's talk about your DNA. Your DNA has a vibratory frequency. So that means when you're born, right, you have a rate of vibration. There's a science called cymatics, spelled C-Y-M-A-T-I-C-S. That science is the science of basically the study of recognizing that sound, which is frequency, creates or affects physical matter, right? So that's why what you'll see is you can see somebody have like a plate up under the speaker. They'll change the frequency of the tones coming through the speakers, and you'll see different geometrical patterns be shaped based on the frequency without being touched by anything physical, but the sound shapes it. So that means everything that comes into any shape or pattern has a corresponding sound that goes along with it, right? Once you start adding different things that also have another, because everything that is created into shape by way of frequency or sound, right? So if you take something that is unnatural to your frequency, your buildup, your matrix, you're now adding it to your matrix, which changes your vibratory frequency. And the master teacher explained that anything that you consume, as far as eating, as far as watching, intake in any way, it affects your DNA. Everything affects your DNA, which means everything affects your matrix. He explained we had to clean ourselves inside out, outside in, right? So when you're going and you're putting in, say, contacts, not for the purpose of trying to, say you got eye damage, right? If you've got eye damage and you actually need to be able to see better, contacts are now used as a tool to help enhance what you have, right? It still has an effect, but you're using it because you have a deficiency in your sight. But then when you have people who get contacts because they want to have yellow eyes or they want to have cat eyes or something like that, you're doing something that's unnatural to your natural matrix. So it affects that matrix. Your matrix is simply just the building blocks that builds you into what you are. See, that's why I can't drink none of your water. Go ahead.
Is that the same thing like when I think it came down in an update where it was saying when you color your hair, like it weakens you because you aren't actually absorbing the sun rays, like you ain't absorbing it the right way.
Yeah, because what happens is nature created you in a way, like he explained, with our hair is the color and the texture, all the way that it is based on what was encoded into your DNA, right? Your DNA is encoded for you to be what you are to be. Whenever you go against that encoding, you're now going against nature, right? So there, like we said, there are rules. We said this all the way from the very beginning of the class. There are rules. And when you go against nature, then you have consequence for having gone against nature. I don't know if you ever seen it, but somebody, like Baba mentioned before, he was talking about who has the power as far as the houses of, or these places of God, these places of worship, being whether they be mosques, whether they be, churches or whatever else like that. But when nature come through with a hurricane or a tornado, it's like, who wins? Is it God as far as his house right here? Or is it nature who just, you try to get in the way of nature and nature's gonna push you over, period. It's a losing battle. So the thing is, what happens is, if you've changed the color of your hair, which is set in a way for you to be able to receive transmissions from outside of yourself, basically being an antenna, and then the color, black, being that dark color, being an absorber, right? They use black as the color for solar cells so they can be able to absorb as much of the sun rays as it can, right? This is what happens with black. Black absorbs while white repels, right? So then you lighten your hair, and now you're being deficient in the amount of energy that you can receive from the sun or from radiation. So now you're becoming deficient against your own natural nature. You see? So then if you become deficient of what you need in your natural nature, then now that's what opens you up to being in a state of dis-ease. Because now you've gone against your own matrix. You've gone against your own makeup. And to take it a step further, now you've gone against your own God, your own makeup, your own maker, your own creator, yourself, your DNA.
Okay.
And then we ask the question for all these people who are Christians and things of that nature, when it says, honor your mother and father that your days may be long upon earth, right? Okay, if your mother and father came together and then they provided you with the genetics for who you are to be, if you turn around and add something different other than the genetics that came in, if you think about it from a genetic level, that's disrespectful to your ancestors as well. And like we explained to the brother earlier, when they destroyed our mental perspective of these things, they make us want to live now in the image of somebody who is totally unnatural to ourselves. So our sisters want to have their hair looking like dog fur, rather than understanding the power within their own woolly, kinky hair, which is unique, the only beings on the planet to have it. But yet instead of us seeing ourselves as unique, we see ourselves as ugly. And we say we have to be like someone outside of ourselves, which is now going against our own nature. And we are now taking away our own divine power, and therefore going against God. You see? Does that suffice to answer that?
Sure it does.
All right. Did you have a follow-up on it?
I was just gonna go into when you said DNA, I was gonna could you clarify RNA? Is it
RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. We've got a chemistry teacher in the house too. But RNA actually, from my understanding thus far, because I'm doing more and more studies dealing with RNA, RNA is like that one half of the DNA. What happens is it creates, you have the RNA which comes together, and once they come together in binary to make those codes there, now it becomes DNA. But each side, apart from each other, is RNA as well, but it's called ribonucleic acid. Okay. So before I get too deeper than I can go,
no, that's good.
That's where we at.
That's good.
You follow?
Yeah.
And of course there's more information, but yeah.
All right.
Catch me when I got better references on deck for that one. 'Cause I'm studying hard on that too.
Yeah.
All right. So if there are no further questions, we'd like to thank everybody again for coming out to class. Thank our online audience for being diligent, for sending your questions in. Please keep doing it. We appreciate the love, and our master teacher is coming home whether you like it or not. So we're fighting here for that right now. And so all the haters you can hate, and we love it. you know, because just stay out of the way, you know, if you don't wanna, you know, if you don't wanna operate within Pt.3, within the actual facts, within Wu-nuwaup. And let me say this before I let y'all go. I also heard somebody say that we was making up the term Wu-nuwaup. And I said I was gonna make sure I address that. Oh, it's Nuwaupu, it's not Wu-nuwaup. I'm like, I wonder if people remember that we received Wu-nuwaupu lessons. We got lessons 1 through 27, which is called Wu-nuwaupu lessons, right? The master explained to us that it was pronounced as Wu-nuwaup as well as Wu-nuwaup, right? So a lot of people sound good when they're talking, but let's remember that there's so much that the master teachers put in place. Let's make sure that we be diligent inquirers, we be truth seekers, and we be loyal, as I think it's verse 52 inside of the Black Book explains. And if it's not verse 52, I'll make sure I have them take that out and we put the verse up. All right. So thank y'all for coming. Come on.